Hello, my name is Tim Rand and I'm doing my annual health update, and to celebrate 8 years being off of caffeine, today is Tuesday, May 25th, 2021. And this year I'm going to do something a little bit different and concentrate on a new element of my health protocol, which is specifically I've been drinking 1 ounce of vinegar per day. And this has apparently cured my 40-year acid reflux problem naturally. So I'm going to get to that. That's going to be the main part of this video. But let me just briefly go back to the caffeine thing, since I've been doing these updates every year. I've talked extensively about the benefits of quitting caffeine in my annual updates up to now. And I'll just say that the benefits continue, and I'm just very happy to be off of caffeine. Anyone new to these videos, if you're interested in how I quit caffeine, please check out my channel page. And if you're interested in the continuing benefits of caffeine, I've been doing annual updates as well. I would also say just check out my channel page. So I won't say too much more about it. I've been talking about it over the years, but just the bottom line is, I've been addicted to caffeine for about a quarter century. And I've been off of caffeine now for almost 10 years, for 8 years, and I can unequivocally say that being off of caffeine is better, at least for me. Once you get over the withdrawal process, which is brutal, as you can see by many videos these days on YouTube and some of the comments on my channel. Also through the years, I've discussed additional health practices that I've been doing over the years. And right now, I guess my diet consists of 6 main components, and I'm going to add a 7th today, which is a very easy one compared to the other 6. So just the basic things I do, the 6 components are: I quit caffeine, I have a weekly fasting schedule, I try to get 20 minutes of sun during the spring and summer for vitamin D, I try to limit my sugar, exercise, and I chronicle my progress daily on a calendar. And these are specified kind of more in detail in my prior videos. Just as an update, in the last year, everything has gone pretty good. There's been 2 changes. I've actually increased my fasting schedule, so now I actually fast twice a week. Since about September. So I counted, I've fasted 74 times in the last year. Each fast is between 36 and 40 hours. And I guess over the years, the theme has been a gradual increase in sort of the frequency and duration of fasts. And right now I'm fasting twice a week, and I really enjoy it. On the downside, in the past year, I guess with the COVID pandemic, my exercise has gone down. So I put on about 5 or 6 pounds this year. And I think it's largely due to lack of exercise. My main exercise is the gym and the pool, and both have been shut down. But generally speaking, I still follow the protocol pretty carefully. And I turned 60 this year, and I would say that my 50s have been just really my best decade in terms of my health and well-being. So if you're interested in following the protocol, please feel free. And it's really worked for me. I mean, I was really kind of going downhill in my 40s, and my 50s have been just really great in many ways. So now I'm adding a 7th component to the protocol. And now let's talk about the main topic of this video, vinegar. And particularly how drinking 1 ounce of vinegar per day for like the past 4 months has pretty much apparently cured my acid reflux problem naturally. So I'm going to discuss my own personal experience with acid reflux over the years, how I came about this solution, which has been floating around the internet also for years, why I think this vinegar is helping the problem, and what I think we as a society kind of should do about it. So first, let me just talk about my experience with acid reflux. I've suffered for this for like most of my adult life. I was diagnosed, I think in my 20s, and basically I was diagnosed with something called GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD. And basically what the problem is at the end of your esophagus, you have something called the lower esophageal sphincter, the LES valve, and it's not functioning properly with people with GERD. And in your stomach, which is naturally very acidic, it kind of refluxes into your esophagus and causes all kinds of problems. And it's estimated that more than 1 billion people on this earth have this problem, which is about 14% of the human population. And this alone tells you that there's something, we're missing something fundamental in this, for this problem, for so many people to have it. So in the past 40 years, anyone my age, I've gone through, will probably relate to this, but I've gone through so many remedies to fix this. I started off with Alka-Seltzer, then Rolaids, Maalox, Mylanta, and then they started coming up with medications, Zantac, which is also known as Ranitidine, Prilosec, which is known as Omeprazole. And then recently, like in the last 4 or 5 years, I've been reading that these medications have potentially negative effects on your health. Omeprazole was said to cause early onset dementia, and Ranitidine was supposedly causes cancer and was taken off the market. So then I switched to something called Famotidine, which is Pepcid. So basically I've been battling this thing for about 40 years. And not one of the main reasons, but one of the reasons I started my whole health thing is the caffeine and sugar withdrawal, is I thought that would resolve the problem, but it really didn't, although there were other great benefits from that. So anyway, I started taking vinegar since Valentine's Day, and my acid reflux has completely gone away. And it's really a remarkable, life-changing result. And this is something I wish someone had told me about 30 or 40 years ago. So now let me tell you how I came upon this solution, which, by the way, is not original at all. It's been around the internet for years. So my wife bought some of these. By the way, my wife is very into all these health things, and she's adopted many of the things that I'm doing. She quit caffeine, does some limited fasting, exercise, but she also does other things as well. So I'm learning a few things from her. And she bought these apple cider gummies. And you know, in the back of my mind, I had heard something about apple cider at some point. And normally I think she had even brought it up before, and I said no, but these look kind of like candies or something. So I gave it a shot, and you know, I got a little bit of a slight benefit, but then I started looking around on YouTube, and I saw many videos talking about many benefits of apple cider vinegar, one of which is acid reflux, which was my main concern. And I found videos going back like almost 10 years. I saw several from 8 years ago. So I don't know how it hadn't entered my consciousness until now, but it finally did. So then I started experimenting with other things. First of all, I started slowly, I kind of did a T-30 program with my medications, and I kind of slowly went down. And I decided to go directly for, you know, the apple cider vinegar that most of the videos are talking about. And this worked very well, and I was essentially off my medications with this, but this stuff contains what they call the mother, which is like these enzymes and proteins, you know, and bacteria that are involved in the fermentation process. And I find that those don't actually agree with me that well. So my next step was, I was thinking, well, maybe it's just plain old vinegar. You know, we don't need all the other stuff. So then I just got like industrial strength vinegar, which is very cheap. You know, you can buy a gallon of this for not much more than 10 bucks. And I diluted that in water, and that worked just as well. The problem with that is it really didn't taste very good. So my next step, which is the step I'm doing now, is I basically combined it with just grape juice, and I just take like 1 ounce of grape juice, and I take 1 ounce of vinegar, and I mix it in 16 ounces of water, and I get this little drink here, and this is what I've been drinking. I drink one of these every day. It's got 1 ounce of vinegar in it, 1 ounce of grape juice, although you could use any juice. And it's got a nice sweet and sour taste that is appealing to me. And so I've been drinking this every day, and I've been off of all acid reflux medications for many months now. So let's now talk about why I think this is happening. Why is vinegar curing my acid reflux? Now, the current thinking after watching a lot of videos on YouTube is that people are now thinking that it's not too much acid in your stomach. It's not enough acid in your stomach. And this extra acid is triggering your LES to close. Now, I'm a little skeptical of this, and I have a different idea. The reason I'm skeptical is because there are many other acidic drinks that or foods that I consume that are triggers for my acid reflux. Even Coke and Pepsi, they contain phosphoric acid. They're actually more acidic than vinegar, and they're a trigger food for me. Lemon juice, which contains citric acid, more acidic than vinegar, also a trigger food for me. And even many others that are almost as acidic as vinegar, like wine has malic and other acids, and that's also a trigger food for me. So I think it's something specific to acetic acid that's causing the LES to, if that's even what's happening, I don't know, but that's helping my acid reflux. And so my thinking is that acetic acid, this may sound a little crazy, is basically like a vitamin. And we have a huge vitamin deficiency in the world today. And this vitamin confers many health benefits, one of which, at least for a fraction of the human population, is, stopping acid reflux by triggering the LES to close, or whatever the mechanism is. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about what is a vitamin. Vitamins are organic substances, and acetic acid is an organic substance. It contains carbon, present in minute amounts in natural foods. They are essential nutrients that the body may need to get from food. Having too little of any particular vitamin may increase the risk of developing certain health issues. So, right now there are 13 vitamins. There's A, there's 8 B vitamins, C, D, E, and K. So, now you may say, like, how could an acid be a vitamin? But there's actually precedent for that. 3 of the vitamins are acids. Vitamin B5 is pantothenic acid, vitamin B9 is folic acid, and vitamin C is ascorbic acid. So acetic acid could conceivably be a vitamin, and it would be, I guess, vitamin L if you're going alphabetically, or vitamin V for vinegar. Okay, so now let's get back to the idea of what a natural diet for humans is, and are we now in the modern world getting less of this particular vitamin, let's say, than we have in the past? Did we have more acetic acid in our diet in the past than we do today? And I would argue yes. And our current diet has marginalized and minimized sort of vinegar. Okay, first of all, what is vinegar? Vinegar comes from the Old French vin, agar, and vin is wine and agar is sour, so sour wine. And it's formed by the fermentation of alcohol whenever oxygen is present, plus these naturally occurring bacteria. But if you have alcohol sitting around, within a few days, it's going to turn into vinegar. If it's exposed to oxygen. Now, I would say our modern world has kind of severed this connection. As far as alcohol, we've become kind of alcohol snobs, I guess. Any wine or beer with even the slightest sourness is considered undrinkable. But let's look at alcohol consumption in both human history and even back millions of years, okay? So throughout human history, there has been a lot of alcohol consumption. In ancient Rome, it was estimated that Roman citizens and soldiers drank about 100 gallons of wine a year. And when I was doing my caffeine videos, there was something in here. They were talking about alcohol consumption in Europe, sort of before the advent of caffeine. Let me just read this. Beer, for example, in addition to being consumed as it is today at celebrations and holidays, of which there were many, or simply as a recreational intoxicant, was also a primary source of nourishment, second in importance in the average diet only to bread, and its consumption was nothing less than unremitting. Jonathan Breschneider, German physician and educator, wrote of beer in 1551, "Some subsist more upon this drink than they do on food. People of both sexes and every age, the hale and the infirm alike require it." Chivalbers asserts that a typical English family in the 17th century averaged 3 quarts of beer per person, including children, every day, and that brewing beer was part of a housewife's usual duties. One of the reasons consumption was so high was the breakfast generally consisted of beer soup. So I guess both in medieval Europe and the Roman Empire, so we're going back several thousand years now, there was a lot of alcohol being consumed. Whenever there's alcohol, there's going to be vinegar right behind. Because I believe at that time, there wasn't the technological know-how to sort of keep oxygen away from it. So people would be drinking sour beer and wine, I think. At least you'd be getting small amounts of it. Okay, now let's even go into this is a little bit weird, but the pre-human past. I may put this part out, but there was a study, there's something in your stomach called alcohol dehydrogenase, and it sort of attacks alcohol in your stomach. And they did a study in 2014 that showed around 10 million years ago, our ancestors developed this enzyme in our stomach to process alcohol. And supposedly that's the time when primates, if you believe in evolution, primates came down from the trees and became hominids. And basically the fruit you were eating basically wasn't as fresh because you'd be getting overripe fruit that had fallen from the trees. And so basically the essence of it is that you're consuming minute amount of ethanol and thereby acetic acid, vinegar, for millions of years. And I guess what I'm saying is that we've been consuming more vinegar for millions of years than we are today. And today we sort of have a vitamin deficiency of vinegar. So now let's look at another feature of our bodies that may show that our bodies are designed to consume more vinegar. And let's look at our tongue. Basically, our tongue has evolved over millions of years to have basically 5 taste sensations: sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and something called umami or savoriness. And each has a fundamental purpose. For example, sweets will, we have a desire to get high caloric foods. Salty, we have a desire to get salt, which isn't necessary. Bitter, which sort of warns us of a food that may not be that good. Savoriness, I guess, for meat. But the interesting one is sour. There really aren't that many naturally sour foods. I mean, there's citric acid and vinegar are kind of the main ones. And I think it's not so much citric acid like lemons and limes. To me, the main sour food is vinegar, that our tongues are designed to detect. And in particular, I think the combination of sweet and sour is appealing to many people, and that would we're designed to sort of consume something that may have vinegar in it. Also, now let's look at, there was a recent study in 2020 about the prevalence of GERD, reflux disease, in varying countries. And it found, according to the study, that China had the lowest prevalence, with only 4% of their population having GERD versus 20% in North America. So they have 5 times as much of it here. And just, it happens to be the case, I believe, China uses much more vinegar in their cuisine. They have many sweet and sour dishes. I read this quote from the internet: in Chinese cuisine, the role of vinegar is just as important as soy sauce. A popular saying goes, firewood, rice, oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, and tea are the 7 daily necessities in China. So could the lower prevalence of GERD in certain countries like China be associated with more vinegar consumption? Okay, and then finally, I'm just going to talk about this idea that vinegar is good for you. Has a long history, and the health benefits of vinegar were talked about in ancient Greece, which started almost everything, and the Romans. For example, Hippocrates, who is an famous ancient Greek physician, known as the father of modern medicine, used vinegar for medicinal purposes in 400 BC. And Roman soldiers drank something called posca. That was like their energy drink. And basically, I think it was just sour wine. I think it was kind of cheap wine they gave to the soldiers. But to me, this drink I have right here is like our T-30 version of posca. So I think we should have T-30 posca drinks around, which is just vinegar, like the ancient Roman soldiers used to drink as their kind of health tonic. Okay, let's just sum everything up with what I think would be a good solution for the acid reflux problem, I guess. Basically, the theory is that the modern world has kind of made everything too fresh, basically, and we need acetic acid from fermented food for our own health. Now, there's a lot of speculative thinking in what I've talked about today. But one solution, or at least it has worked for me, is low-cost, posca drinks. Modern version of posca with vinegar and sweet juice. Now, there are currently a lot of specialty fermented products available now, but the problem is they're really expensive. And to me, they contain a lot of things that aren't really necessary. Kombucha and many other kind of specialty vinegar fermented things. I think it's better if you can just isolate the part that you need you can get something much cheaper. This costs pennies to make. And also, if, me particularly, it was acid reflux, but looking on the internet, there are many other claims for the health benefits of vinegar, related to diabetes, cholesterol, weight loss, and things like that. And these could also be side effects of the equivalent of a worldwide vitamin deficiency. So that's it. This has been a very long talk. And this year, I'm going to continue with my diet, all the elements, and I'm going to play around with any dosage or frequency. One thing I'm wondering, do I need to take this every day? So I'll probably play around and try it every 2 or 3 days if that's enough, and just play around with results and report on it again next year, or if something else comes up, God willing, if everything works out, and I will try to do another one next year. But thanks for watching, and I hope everything is going well with everyone. Thank you.